Okay, so I recently acquired this Drean Commodore 64C computer. Basically, what Drean is, it's the maker overseas, South America. This came from Argentina, as a matter of fact, who was the, I don't know if you can say manufacturer, but certainly a distributor of Commodore 64 in South America. So I haven't turned this thing on. The only thing that I've done with it is I cleaned it up because it was quite dirty. And then basically I replaced the clips on the space bar. The space bar was loose when I got it. So that's the only thing that I did. But now what we're doing is, let's see if this thing works first of all. So I'm going to apply power to it here. And it's 5-pin. So I have my 5-pin adapter here. This is pretty much identical, at least in aesthetics, to the 64C. So I'm going to turn this puppy on. And, well, let's see what happens. Okay. Here we go. So the red light is on the machine, but I didn't see a flicker on the screen. So that's not a good sign. All right. So before we just go ahead and open this up, why don't I just go ahead and put the dead test cartridge on here. See if we get any flashes. All right, here we go. Okay, again, no screen flicker, so that already tells me first thing we'll look at is the 9-volt rail. Look at the fuse. So, well, all right. We get this, open this up and see what's inside. This ought to be interesting. So, first thing I noticed when I got it is the keyboard is loose. It slides around. So, get the feeling something's already been in here as well, because in looking at the bottom here when I was cleaning it up, I saw screws missing, a screw missing from the top here. The interesting thing about this case is that there's also 2 screws on the bottom. There's one screw here in the middle that's missing. So that's rather interesting. All right, so let's get this thing taken apart here. I wonder if these are the original screws, because this is coming off quite loose. It's not even tight. These are long screws also. Okay. See what we've got. Okay, so there are no clips. I see. So those 2 screws on the back, there's actually 3 screws that go into these standoffs here, and 3 screws up at the top that you don't catch on camera. This is interesting. This is why the keyboard's loose. There are these little brackets apparently that hold the keyboard in place. And also it looks like there's a screw missing on this side here at the top, actually, and here as well, a screw missing to keep the keyboard in place. So obviously someone's been in here. I didn't see a shield and the little gaps on the bottom either. So that was also a telltale sign, assuming that these had shields. So we got these two little keyboard clips, and I don't think the screws that came off are original. They look pretty darn small. So we'll have to check that out. And one's different than the other one as well. Okay. The keyboard comes off here. Let's go ahead and unplug the... Whoa. Okay, the whole motherboard is loose. Okay, so there's obviously screws missing from the motherboard on the bottom, but these screws that screw into the back standoffs here also hold the motherboard in place. This is where typically on the US boards they would get screwed into the case, but they're not. Apparently the screw that I just took out, the two from the back, actually the three, go through the motherboard, and these standoffs hold the motherboard down. These three standoffs. So that's rather interesting. All right, the keyboard doesn't look any different than a NTSC keyboard. Okay, so nothing unusual there. The board is rather interesting. It has these little cardboard things. 140380, 1403. I'm assuming maybe it's folded over 80. So that's the serial number, I suppose, and they put the serial numbers on all the chips. I don't know if it's supposed to come this way. I know I got the box with it, and this fell. The box had something written from Commodore on it that had 140380, which is the serial number, I'm assuming. And this, when I was cleaning, this came off the bottom of the chassis of the keyboard here, or the computer. Again, 140380. So I guess that's the serial number. All right. Someone's been in here, because there was a shield at one point. Also looks like there was the cover here, and it's not there anymore because I still see the remnants of the heat, whatchamacallit, the thermal paste still on there. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so the side here, that's weird. I don't know if this is factory or someone modified this, but judging by the color, it looks like this is the way it is. This is where the keyboard would get screwed in, and you can see here from the side that it's a piece that's been cut and bent backwards. Usually on the 64C you have a little metal bracket here, but this doesn't have that. Instead it has this thing that's bent from the faceplate here, and it's bent down, and that's where the keyboard screws in. I'll have to research and see if that is the way these things came. That's kind of Mickey Mouse. So I'm not sure about this guy. Yeah. But the patina and everything, it doesn't look like someone has cut it, like, you know, with a grinder or anything. It looks way too clean, so I'm assuming that it came this way. That's just really odd. Okay, but we need to get down to business here. Find out what the deal is. Here's the bottom of the case. The standoffs go in these three. That holds the motherboard in place. There's a screw here that holds the motherboard in place further, and there looks like there's 3 more at the bottom here. Okay, so I'll have to get screws for those. I'm hoping that maybe they might be the same height as the regular 64C case, in which case I have plenty of screws for those. So, interesting. Okay. All right. Let's see what we have to work with here. First and foremost, let's check the fuse. Make sure that because we didn't get a blip on the screen at all. I have my multimeter here next to me. Okay. Fuse is good. All right. Visually it looked good too. So I guess we'll have to check the voltages now. First and foremost, let's take out the VIC chip. And this is not a 64C motherboard, obviously. It's and all right. So the SID, let's take that out first. It came out way too easy. I'm looking at the pins here. Doesn't look like any were bent or anything like that, but we took this guy out, and let's see, you know, dead screens a lot of times are caused by bad SID, so we'll test it again, and at the same time we'll test the voltages. Okay, I'm going to turn this on. You can't see the screen, but I can tell you right now I'm getting no flicker on it. And I'm going to put a dead test cartridge on this thing. And getting no flicker. I'll wait a couple seconds here. And I'm getting nothing off the dead test cartridge. No surprise though. Okay. Let's check some voltages. So first things first, it's on AC. So if it's on AC, let's go ahead and see if we're getting around 9 or 10 volts here. Alright, so we have the 9 volt AC working. So that's coming through. Let's check the 5 volt rail. Okay, so that's fine. Alright. And I'm not getting any RAM issues from the dead test cartridge as of yet. So I don't know if it's directly RAM. Let's see. So I'm going to go against pin 40 of U7 here, and it should, I'm going to shut this off. So it should take about a second for it to jump to 5 volts as soon as I turn it on. Alright, so I'm turning it on. There you go, 1 second. So that's working. Alright. We're just going through some simple tests here, so let's next, before we start testing chips out like crazy, let's go ahead and put the Kickman cartridge in. Let's see if this is ROM related or not. I don't think it is, man. I don't even get a flicker on the screen, so this is just rudimentary. Okay. I'm looking at the screen right now and I see nothing. So, not even a flicker. Okay. So let's wipe out the Vic first. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's start with the PLA. So this is a Rev A board, but it has a 7572R VIC chip in it. It's PAL, but this is PAL-N, which is what they use just in Argentina. So if it's the VIC chip, I'm thinking I can replace it with a PAL VIC chip. It's not going to be a 6572. I'm just thinking that I might, if I did that, I might have to replace the crystal as well. So I'm going to hope and keep my fingers crossed that maybe it's the PLA and the VIC chip is fine, because finding a 6572 to keep it as original as possible is going to be quite the challenge. So let's do the PLA here. And that popped out way too easy. And I'm looking at the pins. Pins all look fine. All right. I already configured this for PLA. So rats. Almost wished it didn't pass. This is starting to point to the VIC, but we'll see. While we're at it, let's put some cleaner on that. Okay, I'm just going to turn this on just one more time, because that chip came out really, really easy, but it went in a lot tighter than it came out. No, nothing. Okay. All right. Let's see about this VIC chip. Okay. Kind of bend that little pin back. All right, I got to bend this little pin back that I messed up here. All right, so the tester here does test NTSC and PAL chips, but I don't know how it's going to react to a PAL-N. So we're going to give this a shot and see. it'll play nice with it. If it passes, that would be great. That way we'll know that the problem is someplace else. Keep our fingers crossed. Yes. Okay. That's great news. Because I really didn't want to hunt down an original of this chip. That would have been pretty bad. So we're going to put this guy back. And yes. Since I reseated it, I'm still not getting anything on the screen. But that's good. So not PAL, not VIC-2. So let's just keep going at it. Go for the 6520 next here. Really doubt it's going to be this, but you never know. I could be surprised. Okay. Earlier I said 65, 10, 20, whatever. I'm actually way wrong. This is a 8500, 8600. I can barely read this thing. Anyways, there you go. Okay, 8500. So the CPU is fine. So it's not the CPU either. Alright, so the major chips are dealt with. We'll start taking a look at our timers next. Okay, since I basically just reseated this, let's turn this thing back on and see if we get anything now. Oh, look at that. Reseating it did the trick. Boy, how do you like that? So it's black and white primarily because this is a PAL-N, and I'm using it on a Commodore monitor, and that monitor doesn't accept PAL. So I could do composite and put it on the LCD and take a look at, see if it'll display it correctly. So that tells me that this is working. So that is great, and all it was just reseating the chips. So let's put the dead test cartridge in. There we go. All right. Well, that's what PAL-N looks like. Black and white. Well, it's grayscale actually. So your typical ports will show up bad, primarily because I don't have the full wiring harness hooked up to this thing. So, but what we're looking for is, you know, the RAM test, the PLA, the color RAM, all that stuff, and you know, ending up with the SID working, which we already heard. So I don't think there's going to be any surprises there. Yeah. All right. So there you have it. Yeah, there you go. That looks really nice. I mean, considering, you know, I could, like I say, replace the chip with a with the PAL version, a regular PAL version, and replace the crystal with the right frequency, and get this the normal color. But I think I'm just going to, I mean, I have at least 3 or 4 dozen Commodores at this point. I'm just going to leave this stock as is. And yeah, very, very happy that all it was was just reseating a chip. How do you like them apples? So just some minor things so we can wrap this up. I'm not going to bore you putting it back in the case. I think I already showed you what the case looks like. This thing is weird, but I guess this is just factory, the way it came in order to have the keyboard screwed down. So the keyboard clips on the bottom, there's two of these. Basically, two screws on the top hold the keyboard in place along with these on the bottom. So the other difference is, because this is the long board, the Reve long board, it all basically looks the same. The only difference is, again, PAL-N, and what else? Yeah, not much else really to talk about. So I hope you got something out of this. Now you've seen what the inside of a Drean Commodore specifically made for the South American market looks like. And yeah, there you go. Hope you got something out of it. So like I always say, live for today, because you never know if you'll be around tomorrow. So enjoy life to the fullest. Peace out. Well, if you stuck around this long, I might as well give you a little something else, right? So this is the box that I received the computer in, and it's in fair condition, but nonetheless, it came with a few little tidbits with it, all in Spanish, of course. The manual, the user manual to GEOS, along with the discs. And we have basically the service centers, the Drean service centers here. So that's what that's about. And then we also have the introductory guide. Again, all in Spanish, of course. It's pretty cool pictures and everything. So, and last but not least, this is in really fair condition. It's been quite damaged, is the quick start. And basically, this has a lot of the different accessories that you can get with it, and then this folds out into the Drean scene. So anyways, very happy to have received this from my friend Maximiliano in Argentina. I was born in Argentina myself, so we had a little bit of a connection there, which is really nice. So there you have it. A nice working Drean Commodore. All right. Glad you made it this far. Thanks for sticking around. Hope at least I gave you a little something to play with here. This time it's for real. Peace out.